Oh, hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Jar of Marble dwellers and Jar of Marble curious. My name is Linda and this is my podcast, Jar of Marbles. I hope that this has found you well and in the need for a little bit of, a bit of a rattle on from me. This week, I wanted to talk a little bit about taking care of yourself. And I got thinking about it and realised that a lot of the times when we have weak boundaries, that is really going to get in the way of us being able to really look out for ourselves in a caring manner. So I put together 8 warning signs of weak boundaries, taking care of yourself. So 8 warning signs of weak boundaries. You might feel resentful, used, or taken advantage of. You don't have time for the things you enjoy. You try to fix people. You don't know what you really want, so you have a hard time communicating what you need. You feel responsible for other people's emotions or choices. You can't remember the last time you said no to someone. You're tired of being sucked into others' dramas and just being the peacekeeper. You feel guilty when you're not busy and being productive. Any of these sound familiar? Boundaries are more about taking care of yourself, and they are less about finding fault in others or someone out in the external world. Boundaries are really about protecting that which is precious to you, to what you value in your life, your energy, your pursuits, your loved ones, your inner peace. Whatever it is to you, boundaries can be the protective barrier for the valuables in your life. Be that whatever that is to you. When you have healthy boundaries, it gives you permission to choose. Have you noticed that when you don't know where you stand, you seem to have signed up for too much and failed to communicate your needs, and only because of not really knowing what they are? In knowing your boundaries, you give yourself permission to choose and to say no when necessary. I can say no. Oh, I know, Bob, you're very good. Very good at saying no. You are very hard to control and manipulate when you are healthy and clear-minded. Boy, oh boy, when I was just thinking about that, I thought, how true is that? You are really hard to manipulate or influence when you absolutely know who you are. And all the experience we have gained as older women, the world needs us, needs our influence and strength, as do our children and grandchildren. We need it, and that matters too. It is an important question to ask yourself is whether you're letting time go by in activities that have nothing to do with your own sense of what is important. And keep in mind, what is important to you might be really different to others. How can I enjoy this moment right now? I promise by giving the brain a question, it just loves an assignment, a project, if you will, and it will look around for an answer. Release it and let the amazing ally, that is your brain, do its thing. If you feel like you're always hustling, going from one thing to the next, and you're not feeling particularly happy or satisfied about it, take your time, my friend. Just slow down a bit and enjoy your ride, this life's ride. We all get caught up, and it's nice, supremely relieving that you actually do hold the key. Sometimes a letting go of judgment or judgmental words can burn deep and feel hard to let go of, and allowing it to slide off your back is not always easy. Managing your thoughts and being aware of your thoughts can be challenging, and being led around by worry and stress is challenging too. Learning a new skill can be hard, just as being bored and not being engaged in life. That's hard too. Being lost in those loops, thought loops, getting up into your day loops, what you will and will not do loops, are agonising. But what kind of hard are we going to choose? I know that I get very sad when I'm not being creative. So if I have filled my time with other activities that do not fill me creatively, it just leaves me feeling out of whack. And that is not anything I would wish on anyone. I do wonder when I've spoken to friends and they're experiencing feeling sad and out of step with themselves, I often wonder what it is that they're not doing that, really actually would make their soul sing. What part of their life are they failing to treasure and invest in their heart and time, invest, beg your pardon, their heart and their time into it. You have to choose yourself every time. In my age group, I'm in my 60s, most of us have done the hundreds of boyfriends, girlfriends, marriage, the raising of our kids, beloved pets and friends, and 1,000 other life situations. So by the time we get into our 60s, we're pretty sure of what we can't tolerate, what we won't do, and lean so far on the other side of the pendulum of what's next and let's do it. And it is very much on our terms. We can't, and we just won't swallow BS with ease. We can't. It kind of makes us gag. And being agreeable sucks, and we just can't play nice for too long, if at all. I mean, we are nice, but we ain't stupid. We see the ding-dongs coming a mile off. We're thinking, and who do you think you're kidding? We are thinking, was I ever this ridiculous and assuming and selfish and entitled? Then we have a quick reality check, and we have to acknowledge we hail from a different era where most of these adjectives were never used before a noun or a person. People like that were not taken seriously. They were spoilt or painful to be around, whereas now it's a plague. Not original and not interesting. It's same. It's all the same. We seem to always be looking for the choice that has no pain, hard work or magically convenient. The problem there, this just doesn't exist, and we know that. And we know that can be where we freeze and do some other hard thing like nothing. There's the loop and off we go again. I think we know it. We know we do it for sure. And now and then we jump into the abyss and we do good. And then by the same token, we refuse to jump and wait for a ride which supplies a map, a hot cup of tea, and it just never comes. And we know that too. The problem I see with that is where we can leave ourselves wide open to possibly make choices that are not good for us. We agree to things thinking that we are bringing meaning into our lives, and only time will tell. This brings me a bit of peace, a sense of balance. Even if I do nothing, life will change. So, if I do a little, I am instigating change. Of course, we don't see it immediately. It's only looking back we can see the value in the little efforts do make a big difference in the long run. Another saying that helps me still to this day, especially if I'm feeling exhausted, if I use only a mustard seed's worth of effort, I can still see miracles in my life. Have you ever looked at the size of a mustard seed? Let me tell you, it's true. Little effort accrue you results. Doesn't feel overwhelming or too big. It makes whatever you're doing doable. Those are beautiful words to my ears. If I have ever felt overwhelmed. I like that sound, don't you? So do I. Looking after ourselves is multi-layered, and how the looking after ourselves can be not as obvious, especially if we live with certain beliefs that hurt us. For example, a belief that our adult child does not love us, or a parent doesn't love us, or anyone that we love and wish our circumstances were different. If they were different, then I would feel happy. Let me tell you, that is not so. It is entertaining. No, it's not entertaining. It's entering into an unjust world that be our loop thinking, and it never ends. Well, if we stay there too long, we think it's all true. Now, maybe the part of, say, an adult child who does not love you, you feel like they do not love you. The relationship has hit the wall that many times that there's just nothing left. Maybe you never see that child. You've got to and you can love from afar. That way, there's still love. That analogy has aided me in making sense of life situations that had no sense in it, no sense to be found. So I took control of me, chose the love from afar. Also, there was safety in that, and that is of the utmost importance, is your emotional safety. We have to find a way to forgive ourselves. Forgiving yourself may simply be that you stayed somewhere too long. Forgive them where possible. The whole shebang. The power of forgiveness helps as a way to heal the layers of pain, and over time it has become layers in other situations that just went pear-shaped and no progress occurs, or very little that can be held onto as something. When someone hurts us, it is really on one level only. Pain has layers, like an onion. For example, I may be able to forgive my spouse for making a thoughtless remark. There's their outmost layer. Then you may have coffee with a friend who makes unkind comments about the state of your marriage and asks something mean like, why are you so surprised? And you'll feel humiliated and know that rumours are probably being spread or at least discussed. So there's another layer. We attempt to forgive their tactlessness, then it starts bringing up painful emotional childhood memories. Now we're getting to the centre of the onion. Then this triggers a volcanic reaction that is disproportionate to what was said in that moment. We may find ourselves having to forgive others over and over for one seemingly unforgivable incident. The wretchedness that has risen from deep inside me because it was necessary to be released. At the time, I couldn't tell you why, but over time, I had to look at it like an uninvited guest, ultimately invite it to the table to find out what this was all about. And like I mentioned before, it had triggered deep sadness inside me. Being cheeky, irreverent has helped immeasurably. It is my natural go-to, but more importantly, has aided me in putting aspects of my life in perspective so that I can live with a forgiving heart, with a clarity that ensures I can write, live with a lightness I prefer, that I can garden and enjoy life without that heavy weight that has been many things over the years. The layers. Ye gods, how many layers? Could we just take a pause from the layers? Could we just take a pause? I like that. I thought that was quite good, yes. Anyway, the only layers I want in my life is in my hair or in fashion. They are doable and within my control. But how far down the rabbit hole are you willing to go? I love that I get to cherry pick and say, no, Harry, oh, no. By the same token, it is important to not wish away the testing portions in life. They offer the juxtapose needed to appreciate the elated moments. When you wake up to what is plaguing you, then you can forgive it. You have to know what and who you are forgiving, right? It's all very well spouting forgiveness, but you must know what it is that is actually bugging you. Sometimes you won't have any or all of the answers, but you can certainly know what you've got a hole in your heart. You can know when you've just got that terrible feeling. Most of us would not have known it even existed. The last few years have been difficult for all humans. Life is challenging enough without world pandemics, rising petrol prices, political unrest, supply chain shortages, and more. Facing a normal day is difficult enough, especially for those who carry wounds from the past. These wounds could be manifesting in many ways, one of which could be that you are unable to say no without feeling something bad is going to happen. Now that is a red flag with a red pole connected to it, right? And requires you to put eyes on it. What I mean is, say you've said yes to something that you really don't want to do and you feel completely trapped by it, that you feel you can't back out. You can. Damn straight you can. I recall way back in life and feeling completely cornered, so I just came out boxing. I lied through my teeth because I couldn't see any other way out. Point is, do what you've got to do to protect you. I lied through my teeth and it made me wise up. So if you're feeling that there's no way out, truly no way out without turning into, it turning into World War III, get creative. Think of something and just do it. You will still go to heaven. The whole honesty is the best policy cannot be applied to dangerous situations, and losing yourself definitely falls into that category. Protect yourself, and at any means, without any qualms. I will get creative, and if I find myself in a questionable situation, which is kind of rare now, but I will do what I must and not feel guilty. If there's no one to help you or stand for you, stand for yourself, and if that means telling an untrue story, tell it. Doesn't matter whether they believe you or not. Who cares what they think? Not I, and not you. This is a good time to mention about not feeling responsible for others' reactions, their choices and emotions. Take note, your emotions are of no interest to them unless you're doing them favours, and even then, their behaviour is sloppy. Here's another viewpoint. By doing what others should be doing for themselves, you are robbing them of that growth, that opportunity to work situations out for themselves. Instead of whining and playing the victim without them knowing, you are their teacher, teaching them not to be users, well, at least not to you. And reality, they're being a teacher to you too, teaching you not to just step up and do things that really you have no business doing. It cannot be stressed enough the importance of protecting your interests and time. Who inquires about your interests shows interest in what they know you love. Not many? Any? It is quite illuminating how disinterested people are in our individual lives. Some of us are public hermits. That's how I feel sometimes. I'm out and about doing the shopping and other errands. I have my interests, and few ask after them. It's just an observation I've made over time. The world changes and I'm changing with it. Then out of the blue, someone will be very interested in what I am creating and it feels lovely. The world is weirdly wonderful. It feels marvellous when you know straight up that you have boundaries. Have boundaries, will travel. Have boundaries, will not cooperate. It's not even funny, actually. It's more applause. I have boundaries. And I'm not going to allow you to cross them. Thank you. Sometimes you have to be prepared. If you know you are going to be in the company of users or people who cross lines all the time, be ready with your backup plan. Do not get caught with your pants down. Be ready to say, no, I'm out of town that weekend, or whatever. It feels great. These are the types that you may try to fix. You may have tried to fix once upon a time. Or you had to work with them. And you now wisely know that it is not your job. There's no money in it. There's no awards. You won't get your name in the paper, nothing. And you most certainly do not pass go and you don't collect $200. Someone remarks, oh, I heard you didn't end up going away that weekend after all. You have two choices right there. You could say, you need to fire your source, that's incorrect information, and are you keeping tabs on me? That's creepy. Or, yeah, I had violent diarrhea and kept exploding in my underpants and I had to take a sample to the doctor and it oozed out onto his jacket, then he vomited onto his top drawer, calmly followed by, how have you been? Loose, watery stools that occur more frequently than usual. Most people don't want to hear about that. No one has the right to your truth unless you say so. No one. If people don't feel privileged, polite at best, and act with respect, tell them nothing, or get a great little meal starter. When we don't know what we really want in our lives with absolute sureness, it can weaken our boundaries. That is why it is so important to claim something as your own, a plan, hobby, something that makes you feel marvellous and wonderful. And it's not up to anyone else, just you. It feels lonely sometimes, but it is the enjoyment of being alone. The rest will happen and the right ones or one will come. If you are not doing the things you love, then this is a surefire sign that the boundaries are weakened. If you are doing your thing, the things you love, then you can be sure you are not being prey to the wrong kind of people. Really is something to all of that, and I know that we have all found ourselves in situations that we initially might think, how did I find myself here? How did I get here? And I think we all have that uncomfortable knowing that if we sit down for a whole minute and think about what we've agreed to in the past and how we've always been that person to put our hand up, and then we even rely on ourselves to be the person that always puts our hands up. But at some point we grow and we realise that we're putting our hands up for too much, that we're not appreciated. And even if we are, even if, say, we are being appreciated, are we appreciating ourselves? I just think it's a really big subject, and we deserve to be able to really look at that whole idea of taking care of yourself, and are your boundaries weak? Because as we've already kind of discussed, that if you are saying yes to everything and feeling very, very unhappy with your life, well, straight away you can go, okay, that's a fairly good sign that my boundaries are weak. Oh, but I can't say no. And the thing is, I think as soon as you start telling yourself, you know what, you actually can, it's just that maybe you've never considered it before. Maybe you've never really thought of another way of approaching, your life, or the things that you agree to, the things that you find yourself doing. Because quite often when we agree to doing something, depending on for how long it goes for, what it is you've actually agreed to, quite often we've changed by the time we're well and truly knee deep in whatever it is that that we're doing. And I think it's important to know that we are always changing, that life will just spring out of nowhere demanding your growth. And it's usually marked by things that are just going wrong and you feel out of sorts and, you never get the green lights. And it's say like about getting the green lights, those odd days where it just seems to add to the flow of your life. I think I've never, ever got a green light at that sign, like ever. I think that's happened to me once in my life, or, wherever I've lived, I've realised that I've actually got through. This never happens. But I think aspiring to really care about yourself and looking at your boundaries and checking that they are healthy, it's all going to help you find your own road. And let me promise you at least one thing. There is a road, albeit a bit muddy at first, but it's there and it's yours. I realise that we are coming to the end of yet another podcast. I hope that you've enjoyed it. And, thank you so much. So kind. Thank you. It was just, I didn't expect that. Yes, you did. You pressed the button. Oh, be quiet, Bob. Anyway, I hope that this podcast finds you well. I hope that life is treating you as well as you expect it to, because, you can have your world working for you. Like you expect things to go well, have that expectation. I have really found that there really is something to that. But anyway, I do digress. I would like to just say thank you again for coming by and say good day to the family and the blue-tongue-ligged. The blue-tongue-ligged. Just say good day to the ligged for me. And I'll see you next time. Okay, bye.